12, I'm like having a hard time remembering what I was doing at basketball at 12. And I'm like, kids nowadays try to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like from a skill standpoint, they try to have them do all this fancy stuff versus like the basic stuff. And so I teach my kids the most basic stuff. We just do it over and over. But I asked Mike, I said, what were you doing at 12? Do you remember what you were doing at basketball at 12? And he goes, dude, I was playing baseball.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let that sink in for a second.
That was his dad's
for people out there who are like overtraining their kids at 12 and like doing all this fancy stuff, just let that sink in for a second.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's crazy.
What's up? It's Coach Slack. Welcome to Hoops Guide. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I'm very, very passionate about because I work with a lot of kids. And basketball isn't necessarily about, who's the most athletic and, all of that stuff. It is, but it isn't, right? Because basketball is a very simple game as long as you pay attention. And a lot of kids these days don't know how to pay attention. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves as both a coach and a former player. What's crazy is I began to pay attention more when in college when we started to lose a lot. I paid attention more. If you listen to players like Kobe or Gilbert Arenas has a podcast, he talks about it on his podcast. You listen to players like Michael Jordan or even LeBron James or whatever, they talk about watching film, right? And they talk about learning from their past mistakes or learning by watching other players and their tendencies or learning how defense plays them. It's just about paying attention. That's all basketball is. And you would think that it was super hard to do, but all of the greats do it. All the greats, NBA player great, do it. And the better you are at paying attention, the better you will be as a player. And my whole thing is for younger players, we teach them how to dribble between their legs and go behind their back and 5 million crossovers. And, some of them know how to do the jelly layup and, behind the back passes. And they're like 8 years old, right? But they don't have any basketball IQ. My problem with teaching kids all of these things is, little 8-year-old Joey doesn't need to know how to do 3 crossovers to get past a kid because he can just dribble right past him. Another 8-year-old isn't as fast as, 7-year-old Christopher. It's not the same thing. So, kids don't have that much speed anyway, especially at that age. Some might be a little bit faster, but not really. So when you think about it, you have to, a part of paying attention is knowing mismatches. If Joey is faster than Christopher, Joey doesn't necessarily need 3 crossovers to get past Christopher. He might need 1, and then zoom past Christopher. That's a mismatch, and that's how kids need to know, you don't have to do the Kyrie over dancing on these kids when you can just drive right past them. And I play with, I still play basketball, pickup basketball, grown men that still do the same thing. Dude, you're fast, and you can just drive right past this dude, and go bang out. But, this dude sitting here doing 3 million crossover moves, or you might have got him on the first crossover, but you still got to do 3 more just to make it look nice. You got the mismatch, or you already got them on their heels, which you wanted. So, that's, my biggest pet peeve. I'm sorry for ranting. but I feel like it's a big waste of time, especially with the youth today. All they want is the highlight play. And as trainers, I feel like we have a responsibility, and even as coaches, to not just focus on the highlight play. What do you have, and how can you get there? Are you making the defense move, or are you just doing it because it looks good, right? I see kids, oh my God, on Instagram all the time, where they are sitting there doing 3 crossovers, and then they'll drive and snatch back when there's another kid that's sitting right next to them wide open. Bruh. I can't even tell you how annoyed I get just watching that. So if you're going to train your kids as a parent, whether you're just their coach or you're their trainer, I feel like we have a responsibility. Teach them how to think. Teach them how to think. Show them what to look for on the floor, because this is the main time when they are younger, to show them, you know, how to play basketball. Not just the moves and stuff that goes along with it. What are you looking for? Why do you do it? Right? Stuff like that matters, because as they get older, there's so many grown men that I've met in my life that I play with, you know, even coaches. Oh my God, even coaches I've met in my life, they don't even know the game. They don't understand that basketball is very simple. It's just about paying attention to other people's tendencies, to other people's, you know, if there's only one good player on the team, go double team that player and let everybody else shoot. Like, stuff like that. Kids don't understand, coaches don't understand. It's like, what have you learned in the past years that you've been playing this game besides dribble, dribble, dribble? Or give it to the guy that's good. Let him shoot. Right? So, my biggest thing is, we have the responsibility to these kids to teach them the right thing. Parents, don't get caught up in the dribble, dribble, dribble. Don't get caught up in the shoot, 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 shoot. Show them how to play basketball now at a young age, so they can carry that with them when they go to college. If you got a kid that's going to make it to the league, they can take that with them to the league. You watch Gilbert Arenas' podcast. It's called No Chill Podcast. He talks about it. There's players in the NBA right now that don't have a basketball IQ. They rely strictly on their athleticism, or strictly on the fact that they're tall, or they're big and wide, or they're fast, right? To get them a bucket. But what happens when you can't rely on those things anymore? Like Kobe. You know, he got that little turnaround jumper, that fadeaway, right? He can rely on that anytime. But there's kids in the NBA right now who are strictly going to rely on their athleticism and not gain anything for once they start slowing down. And, you know, those are the guys that don't compete for a long time. They're out. Because there's always going to be a new kid who's faster, who jumps higher, who's taller. Period. Stronger. Period. That's why I post videos like this called The Advantage on my YouTube. Go watch it so you guys can learn how to work with your advantages. That's also a part of being smart. Because a lot of players try to do things that they're not good at. Right? That they don't have an advantage in. Use your advantage to your advantage. But I'm done ranting. That's Hoops Guy for today. And I hope you guys got something from it. As always, peace out, Coach Lack.